Okay, remember that I'm learning this with you. So if you're panicked, I'm definitely panicked, as my autism gives equal weight to all possibilities. So the likelihood that this will completely explode in my face and endanger all of our lives is just as equally likely to me as it working out great and actually functioning. So I have a steno notebook to write down what I'm doing, and hopefully I will transfer that to something nicer. I have scoured fabric that is now dry. I let it dry for like 2 days. The humidity is really high in my house. And then this is alum, which we're going to be using to mordant this. But we have to pre-soak the fabric before we get it wet. We have to know how much it weighed to know how much alum to put in, because it's 15% weight of fiber. So I'm going to write down that our alum mordant. And I'm going to get more fiber as well in the mail, but I wanted to get started because I want to go pick some flowers outside. And I'm impatient, that's all. I'm willing to do it twice, apparently. So we're going to get the dry weight of our fiber. I have zeroed out a gram scale. You may want to get like a jewelry scale for the really tiny gram amounts when we have to do like 1% of fiber weight. You can get those from jewelers, or other people use them, but Amazon has them for cheap. So let's see. All right, we have 249 grams of fabric. So I'm going to write that down. And then I'm going to prep a water bath for these to soak in all day while I attempt to make a dye bath. I'm scared, but we can do it. We're going to do it together. We're doing it. We're doing it. Let's do it. Okay, so I used filtered water because we have outrageously hard water here, and that is not great. We're trying to keep minerals off of the fabric so that it will accept other minerals. So having mineral-rich water will not aid you in this experience. Use filtered water if you can. So they're staying down, which is a little weird to me, but if yours won't stay down, just like slap a pot lid on them or something and burp it. And those just have to sit there for like 8 hours, which is fine. Oh, it's like 1 o'clock. Well, I might die that late, whatever. Anyway, so they're going to sit there until I'm ready to dye, or to mordant them, not dye. They'll be ready to mordant in a few hours. So good luck to you in there. And then we'll do the math to figure out how much mordant you need. Okay, so I did maths. Thank God the traumatic brain injury only took out algebra 2 trig and, well, most of algebra in general. Anyway, 0.15 times 249, 37.35 grams of alum is what we will be using, which means like 37 to 38. So I don't have to do that right now, but I am going to go attempt to collect some flowers. Should I do that at the brightest, hottest part of the day? No idea. Haven't seen any documentation on when I should be doing that, but gonna go try and get some California lilac, because I've never seen anybody try to dye with that, so I'm gonna. Okay. Also, I've taken to slapping sticky notes onto every part of this process, because I'm deeply, deeply aware that my ADHD will allow me to remember none of what step I was on and none of what all of these fibers are. I also am going to use pinking shears to cut some of the pieces of fabric so that I have a non-mordanted control for each dye bath, because that seems like something a scientist would do about this. So I'm going to science it up. Okay, bye. I'm allergic to everything, so I have masked and gloved up, and I have this pitcher and a scissor to go cut lilacs. Then I have to really upgrade my cottage witch game, because this is not a vibe. But all my neighbors are already scared of me and think I'm a witch because I talk to the local crow family, so it's fine. All right, collection time. The only reason I feel comfortable harvesting a bunch of these is because every other thing in the yard is blooming. So all of our, oh, sorry, lizard. Sorry, Larry. Oh, God. Oh, that's Leonard, not Larry. Oh, geez. Sorry, buddy. He's over there. Anyway, is because everything else is blooming and there's lots of other stuff for the pollinators to get at. So I don't feel so bad taking the flowers. But let's see. I'm just going to gather whatever I can. And I can't do that holding a phone. So, bye. As for the lilacs, I did pretty good. That's a healthy proportion to make a little dye bath, I think. I'm just going to weigh it for science's sake. Should I even weigh it in that? It's going to get all unstuck it, and then I'll have to unstick it from there. We'll get a general weight, and then I'll weigh the thing before. No, didn't tear it first. Hold on. Yes, thank you. So we'll call that 330 with the pitcher. And then I'm going to dump it in here. I'll get the rest of that out, but I'll just weigh the pitcher here. 250. So we know that for later, and I'll add that as a document that the pitcher is around 250. And then these guys, I am going to start with filtered water on the lowest setting, because apparently the purples and the blues are really hard to not mess up whatever chemicals they do have remaining in there. And this should give us some sort of soft pink, but I will update you on that. Okay, so at this point, you don't really need to worry about, the hell is that? The dilution, because only so much color can be extracted. So there's a bunch of water in here because I don't want it to boil off and burn while I am not paying attention to this. So I'm going to put it on the very lowest setting and let it like slow cooker itself up to the tiniest simmer on the smallest burner I have. And then all the paper towels I'm using, I'm reusing ones that I used to blot fabric before. So I'm trying to be somewhat eco-friendly about it. But I'm going to simmer this and set a timer for myself. It says to boil stuff for about an hour to extract it. I'm going to go for like 90 minutes because I don't know any good reason for that, but it feels right. And I'll write it down in my science journal. Okay, it has officially simmered for an hour. I probably let it come up to a simmer too slowly, but oh well, here we are. Oh, gosh, it really has a smell to it. Very planty. Okay, there is some kind of color to the water. It's a little bit green-ish. Apparently we let it cool in the pot, and hopefully it will extract any other color it has, and then we will strain it. There's definitely some sort of color, but we'll strain this after it's completely cooled off. And I think we did in fact make a dye bath of some sort, so good job everybody, we did it. Okay, so I'm doing, I went rogue and I have decided to go left and do a tannin extract first, because I read that tannins plus the alum will do something better to cellulose fibers. So we're going to try all three. So I have oak gallnut extract at 10% weight of fiber. I dissolved it in hot water. It looked like wood chips, but then it disappeared and dissolved. So now it looks like tea and it smells like trees. And so we're putting in here, and we will be simmering this once it's up to a simmer for 30 to 60 minutes, and then we can mordant the next thing. Okay, so part of what is in here has been oak gall tannined, because it said to do that before you alum tannin. I dissolved the alum salts in here, and I added from the original fabric weight. So there's about 50 grams of alum in this, and we're gonna boil this, and then we'll be ready to dye with 3 different mordant types in the morning. So here we go. So at the end of the night, we now have the jar of the aluminum triformate stuff that is the quote cold mordant that we'll be using on all of the wool fibers, hopefully. And then we also have the bagged up oak gall, and I'm going to put that in the fridge so it'll stay good overnight. And then lastly, we have the alum and oak gall ones that are just going to sit and soak in the pot and cure overnight. And that should be ready for the morning. Good morning. We have a couple jobs to do this morning. We have to get all of this out of the alum bath and roll it up so that it's ready to dye. We have to strain our dye, which is taken on a very thrilling purpley green color. And then we have to rinse off the aluminum triformate mordant, and that one can go in the fridge because it actually likes to be cured for a couple extra days for fun. So then we will strain that and then get to Berlin, as my evil Graham from Alabama would say. We gotta burl it. So I'm gonna clean up some stuff and get us ready to burl. Okay, filming this a little upside down and backwards, and my sink is not super clean, so no judgment, please. This is the goop that just came out of the pot, and I'm squeezing it out so that I can extract all the moisture / dye I possibly can, and then I'm going to put it back into the pot that we're going to dye in. So I think we're ready to dye. I have written down which pieces of fabric or which of the pre-soaked and pre-mordanted fabric we're going to put in. Here's the dye bath that we made. It's kind of like this weird purpley brown green. Weird. And then we have pre-wetted fabrics that are mordanted, and I'm leaving them in the fridge so that they don't mold. But I don't want to have to re-soak everything every time I want to dye something and get it all wet again, and that just sounds like too much work for me, or at least too much work to remember. It is not too much work to remember. So I'm going to put our dye bath and this back into the pot, and we're going to keep it just below a simmer for 45 minutes and see what happens. We're going to try one each of our mordants and one non-mordant as a control because we're scientists. Okay, here we go, friends. Our very first dye bath. And here's all of our pre-mordanted fibers in different types. And away they go. And so we're going to let this come up. See, it looks very brown, but then when you hold it up to the light, it is very green. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. Don't you just kind of want to sit and like noodle at it? Noodle, noodle, noodle. No, we're going to let it sit. Okay. See you in a bit. It's been roughly 10 minutes. It's not simmering yet, but look. It's turning the fabric green. It's more green, not in my camera. For some reason, it's not reading in green, but it's turning green, I promise. It's been 15 minutes. Okay, technically, we've been at just under a simmer for 45 minutes or so. And look, we made colored fabric, y'all. We dyed something from our yard. It's kind of a weird pinky brown. Now, what's interesting is when I watched other people dye with lilacs, one, they were using actual lilacs, not California lilacs. Could not find a single idiot who collected that many California lilacs to make dye with. But the stems come out a really pretty brown. The leaves come out like a really vibrant yellow. And the brown that it makes in the stems usually has kind of like a golden color to it in the sun. And then the flowers of a big real lilac seem to make a bright green. But like, look at this neat color. So technically it's been 45 minutes, so I don't know that it would help it, but it also said that you can add heat and time to vegetable dyes. So I think what I'll do is I'll just turn it off, but I will fully lit it so it holds on to some of its latent heat, and then I'll let it fully cool before I take it out and rinse it, I guess, and then we'll see what we got. Well, I think we all know I wasn't going to really wait all day. That takes too long. Okay, so there is our friend. I think we could let it like cure and whatnot, but I'm gonna rinse it because I want to see what it looks like. So I've just got some fresh filtered water there. Look at that cool color it turned. And we'll pull everybody out, and then I will try to show you who's who. They don't look all that different, interestingly. We shall see. Okay, I will come back when I've got these rinsed. Beep. I find it so interesting that the color that's rinsing out of it and the color that's coming off on the paper towels where it's drying is the green that I associate it with it's supposed to be coming out when I see people do it with the real lilacs. So I don't know, maybe I overheated it. It's possible that I boiled it too hard. anything's possible, really. I mean, this is science. It's the edge of science. Like the edge of glory, but science. Okay, I guess I will rinse these and try to just flatten them out, and then we can look at what we got. Okay, so I washed these in a pH neutral dye. This is my little notebook that I've been keeping notes on, and I wrote what type of fabric I cut which way so that I remember who is who. But this bright greeny yellow color is the color that I saw other people's coming out when they did lilacs. And this looks a little brown, but I'm not sure why the white balance is so bad, but it's much more green in person. That's the wash water. But here we go. So this is the control. This is no mordant on a piece of cotton duck cloth, which did have some natural color to it to start with. So it's kind of mostly just looks like I tea dipped it. This is oak gall tannin only on linen with the lilac flowers. And I did it for the full 45 minutes and then I let it steep like another 3 hours. The duck cloth I have, this is from the aluminum triformate soak overnight. That's it. Look at how dark that got. That's from the aluminum triformate, the cold water mordant. Isn't that awesome? So that might be something that we use forever because boiling sucks. Okay, and it's less eco-friendly. These ones are just alum on cotton muslin. It's a little misleading because it's doubled over here. Oops, sorry, let's not make you seasick. So here's this one. You can tell it's definitely lighter. They haven't dried yet. These are wet. I will take a picture of them dry. Okay, so that one is cotton muslin and just alum. And then this one is the oak gall tannin plus alum, which I denoted by pinking shearing one corner. So that is the oak galls plus alum here. Just alum, not a huge difference, but I think there might be some depth of tone. And then the aluminum triformate, which is the deepest of all for sure. Amazing. And the just oak gall tannin did honestly pretty great. It's just a little more subtle. So I'm going to hang these out to dry, not in the sun, but in a nice breeze, and we'll see how everybody looks dry. Hooray! Did it. They're dry. So we have our control, which had no mordant at all. We have just alum. We have just oak gall tannin. This one admittedly is on linen, not cotton, so that might have something to do with it. This one is just the aluminum triformate, and this one is oak gall tannin plus alum. So there's our first try with California lilac. It's not what I expected, but it is in fact a color, and we did it. So good for us. I don't see a ton of difference on this particular dye, but that could be for a million reasons, and we will continue to experiment. I thank you so much for coming along. I really hope that you will like and subscribe. I know it's awful to hear that, but it's truly the only way that I, as a disabled person, can have a hope of making an independent income. So if you would mind liking and subscribing or leaving a comment, which fabric do you like the outcome the best on? If you'd be so kind as to leave me a comment, I'd be eternally grateful. And I hope you come along on the next dye bath adventure. I just wanted to point out, one, thank you to my patrons who are the people who keep me alive. And also, I think it's interesting that these look the most like the color of the dried out flowers rather than fresh ones.